And in sports, kind of a big weekend in sports, ladies and gentlemen, and yours truly is paying for it. I need a day off, y'all. I need a day off. We had the Masters all weekend. We had Major League Baseball opening day. We had the Drive opening weekend. We had the Swamp Rabbits fighting for their playoff lives late. We had wrestling all weekend long. I mean, what an absolute weekend in sports. We're back on a Monday, and Rob Brown is in full recovery mode, ladies and gentlemen, and that's okay. That's okay. We're going to have a weekend like we had in sports this weekend, and the price I got to pay is to show up on Monday and take a little extra time getting my life and my vocal cords in order. So be it. I am Rob Brown, directly across the glass from me, both literally and metaphorically, hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the alpha and the omega of the fan upstate, the professor of perfectionism, Lonzo's at the controls. What up, Zoe?
See, I know why your voice is tired. You just did your first nationally syndicated show for BetQL Saturday.
Sure.
That's an extra 4 hours of radio, premium radio. Was able to check out bits and pieces of it. It was awesome.
Thanks, man.
Your co-host is great.
Cody is the only guy, and I don't say this as an offense to anybody I've ever worked with in the past. I say this as a compliment to Cody Decker. Cody is probably the only cat I have ever been on the air with that has matched me in terms of Red Bullness. The only guy I've ever been on the air with that can go for 4 hours with the volume and the energy that I do. I've called our show for many years the most energetic sports talk radio show in America, and I got to tell you, I'm not saying I have met my match, Lonzo. I'm saying there's a lot of Saturdays between now and the World Series, and Cody's the only guy I've met that's been able to go 4 hours at full volume with me, which, depending on your choice in radio, may or may not be a good thing.
So you say you met your match. Now that you got to take that as a challenge. Who's going to wear down first?
You know how, and you've done this long enough, Zoe, and everybody in this business has the story of the co-host that they have worked with that there are unspoken competitions with. You know what I'm talking about? There's those little rivalries that pop up about certain stuff, and they never get brought to light. You never really talk about them. They just are what they are, and you both know what you're competing over. You both know the premise of the competition. You both know the price of the competition. You both know the prize of the competition. It happens for especially guys in my role that share a similar role elsewhere. There are those unspoken rivalries that develop in this business. Cody and I knew about 13 seconds into our first show. Uh-oh. We've got a bit of a rivalry here to see who is going to be the more energetic betwixt the two. It went 4 hours and never slowed down. I did know we were going to be okay when we started, because that show is also occasionally going to go off the rails. Shocking, I know. But about 13 minutes into the show, somehow, Lonzo, the topic of Zima came up. You know what a Zima is?
I have seen the commercials. It seems to be looked down upon in the alcohol world. Not like a White Claw, but maybe similar.
Zima was like it's like a wine cooler or a wine spritzer that wasn't trying that hard, right? And Zima was what you drank if you couldn't handle real booze, right? If you couldn't drink beer or liquor, you had a Zima. And Zima was big for younger drinkers, if you will. It was bigger for younger drinkers because, you know, when you are early into developing your taste, booze is an acquired taste, right? And most different types of alcohol are acquired taste. I was not a big whiskey guy in my 20s, but around 30, 31, all of a sudden whiskey suited me. Now I love a good whiskey. Bourbon, same way. Wasn't a big bourbon guy earlier in my career. Then around 30s, I was like, oh, bourbon's pretty good. Zima was what you drank when other alcohol was just too tough for you. So that, it was just kind of a joke booze. Well, we somehow Zima got worked into the conversation. Our 23-year-old producer, Mario, super cool guy, but our 23-year-old producer, Mario, then clued us in to the fact that he had never had Zima, or he didn't know what Zima was. Because Zima jumped the shark, 12, 13 years ago. So he says, I've never had a Zima. I said, how old are you? He said, 23. I said, so you're not old enough to have had a crush on Topanga. And his answer was, I don't know who that is. Right? I don't know who that is. But he made up for it by telling us that he didn't know who the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was. Cool, man. Cool.
He's the guy that smacked that guy that was in Grown Ups 1 and 2.
Correct. So then, 37-year-old Rob Brown and 35, soon to turn 36-year-old Cody Decker immediately were like, we have a common enemy now. We have a common enemy to beat up on for the next 10 minutes. Put the rivalry aside. I thought the show went well. We had a good time. Got into some good baseball stuff. Your boy, you want to talk about a bad beat? The first bet I gave on the show, Lonzo. We opened the show up with, we opened the show on Saturday, and it'll be like this most days, that most of the Saturday slate started about 10, 15 minutes after we went on the air. And one of those games was Tampa versus Baltimore, right? Tampa's a 100-win team. Baltimore is going to compete for the worst baseball team in Major League Baseball this year. And so we opened it up with our best bets of the day. And Cody opened with Tampa -1.5 against Baltimore. I decided to go a little bolder. I went Tampa -2.5 against Baltimore for some more long shot odds. Pick up a little extra spare cheddar on that bet than Cody Decker. Ninth inning, top of the ninth inning, Baltimore's down to their last out, and they are trailing by 3. Rob Brown's about to cash in on Tampa -2.5 and look like a genius. And then, with a man on second and 2 outs, a ground rule double that advances the runner from second to home. Tampa wins by 2 instead of 3. My -2.5 tanks out on a ground rule double. I love it, Zoe. The start to my nationally syndicated sports and baseball betting show ends with my first bet on national syndication tanking on the baddest of bad beats. A ground rule double ends up costing me my first bet.
So is this going to stop you from making bets like this in the future?
No, not at all, because I'm an idiot. Remember, though, that's the thing about taking that one extra run on the run line and going from 1.5 to 2.5 was it bumped my odds up from like -150 to like +110. So had that bet cashed, I would have made almost twice the money off of it that Cody made had it hit, right? So if that bet hits, if I get one of those two, if I make 2 bets like that on a day, and one of them hits, I will make as much money as Cody getting 2 of those correct on the same day.
So how'd you do on the rest of your picks?
Pretty good. I think I went at I think I ended at like 75% of my picks on there, which is pretty good. I mean, damn good actually. If you take moneyline dogs predominantly, like big money dogs predominantly, if you win at like 42, 43%, you're still going to come out ahead, right? It's when you start getting where you're taking majority favorites that you better be picking at 53, 54 minimum to cash out even, 60, 62 if you want to be a winner. So the rest of them came out okay. It wasn't the best day ever, but it certainly was far from the worst. But you know what I did do? I did a nationally syndicated radio program for 4 hours on a Saturday and did not get asked to leave at any point.
Yeah, you get to do it again next week.
Yes, indeed.
That right there, that's awesome.
Yeah, baby. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello to you. And how do you do, friends? I am Rob. He is Lonzo. We have got a stacked show for you today, and I'm just going to get to it out of the gate. Coming up at 11:30, Owen Watterson's going to join us. Owen covered Clemson's spring game for us this weekend. I was set to go, but I had that nationally syndicated radio broadcast to do. So we said Owen Watterson, who would have gone with me anyway, not like, second choice. No, he was coming with me. Then I had to bail. So we'll have Owen join us at 11:30, and we'll break down Clemson's spring game. But before we get into that, let me start this off by saying this. Much to the disbelief of a lot of you listening out there, I do not, let me repeat that, do not, with a capital D and a capital N, do not look to make runs at Dabo Swinney or Shane Beamer for the sake of getting y'all riled up. It's not my style. Don't like to do it. But Dabo this weekend decided it was time once again to speak up about everything that is, in his opinion, wrong with college football. And for the record, I think Lonzo's probably going to agree with a lot of the stuff that he said. So he will be defended here on the show. But I don't. Dabo Swinney said this week in what I think started off as a good point and then went downhill. He said, quote, I think there's going to be a complete blow up, brackets, of college football and brackets, especially in football, and there needs to be. I think eventually there will be some type of break and another division. Right now you got everybody in one group, and it's not feasible. Alabama has different problems than Middle Tennessee, but we're trying to make them all the same, and it's just not. I think you'll have 40 or 50 teams and a commissioner, and here are the rules, end quote. Not a bad start, all right? I got no issue with what Dabo has said to this point.
So he's talking about the breaking up of the NCAA, which we kind of been talking about for a while.
Yep.
We'll see if it happens or not.
Yep. He's effectively saying that he thinks the Power Five and then maybe a couple of smaller groups will create a new college football division. Whether or not it plays under the banner of the NCAA, who knows? Probably not. But Dabo says he thinks you're going to see the Clemsons and South Carolinas and Alabamas and Florida States of the world end up in a new football conference division, maybe entire organization top to bottom.
Is this speculation, or does he speak with inside knowledge?
Great question. I would say speculation for now, because I doubt that you are going to see a lot of people that are going to go out and be talking about this openly while the NCAA is still a thing. But maybe. He went on to say that the current system is a, quote, mess. He said, quote, there's so much bureaucracy, and you can't get anything done in a real-time manner. It's frustrating. The communication is not good, and the rules are outdated. Again, there have been a lot of positives when it comes to the scholarships, but you've got all these people voting on things, and it's just not apples to apples, end quote. Swinney would go on to emphasize that he is not against name, image, and likeness, but remains against the, quote, professionalization, end quote, of college athletics and anything that rises to pay for play. He said, quote, I am against anything that devalues education. That's what I'm against. I am for anything that incentivizes education. People will come after me because I've always said that I'm against the professionalism of college athletics, and I am. Kids don't know what they don't know. That's a slippery slope if you professionalize college athletics, and now you've got salaries and taxes, and you can fire kids on the spot, and they've got to pay for tuition, they pay for their housing and everything else. Athletic directors would sign up for that in a heartbeat. They'd save money, end quote. Now, this is where Dabo loses me. And this is where I think Dabo loses the thread a little bit. Kids don't know what they don't know. That's a slippery slope, if you professionalize college athletics. And now you've got salaries and taxes, and you can fire kids on the spot, and they've got to pay for their tuition, and they pay for their housing and everything else, end quote. Yeah, that's not happening, though, right? You are Don Quixote chasing down windmills. That's not happening. That's not what anything, no one has suggested that. No one has pushed that forward. This is the straw man of straw man arguments from Dabo Swinney. He's going on a tirade against things that no one has suggested yet. There have been people saying, sure, there have been people, a fringe group of people that have been saying that universities should pay college kids to play football. But they are such a small group of people that you are addressing the fly in the room as if it's an elephant.
They're already paying college kids to play football. That's what scholarships are. That is them paying them to play football. They absolutely are already paying them. And now you got NIL on top of that. And if NIL gets out of control to a point where they decide, okay, you're making all this money, we don't need to give you a scholarship anymore. Then suddenly they become paid employees. Not necessarily employees paid by the school anymore because they're not getting scholarships. They're getting paid by all this outside money, and you can fire them without risk of being in trouble of losing scholarships because you don't have scholarships anymore.
So, again, I think we've got a situation here where people are going, there is potential for bad things down the line.
See,
Therefore,
no, there are bad things down the line. I know you're saying potential, but there will be bad things. You can't say that there's not going to be some bad things.
I didn't say there wasn't. The end of that thought was, you can't say there could be some bad things down the line, therefore we should not do anything now. That's a really bad way to live your life. To never make a change, to never change anything because bad things might happen. Bad things might happen if you don't change anything at all.
Well, it's out of his hands anyway. It's already been changed.
I agree, but Dabo Swinney is a major voice in the discussion, right?
Is he though?
Yes.
I think the money is the major discussion.
Oh, I would agree.
Yeah, I think the money cancels anything out that Dabo would say.
I would agree. But let's not pretend that Alabama and Clemson and LSU and these top-tier schools don't look like purple and gold and purple and orange and crimson and white dollar signs to the NCAA, right? They've got to keep them happy too. That is part of the reason that the discussion has been focused on NIL and not checks from the university to players, because that would really upset the universities. I think that everybody that is in Dabo's camp here and talks about dollars, which, yes, I have said forever and always, if any decision gets made in sports that you don't understand, the number one, the first thing to search to find an answer is what? The dollar signs. Find the money. Because more often than not, there's going to be some money rooted in the reason why that rule was put into play. Part of the reason that NIL was able to gain traction before universities paying players, right, was because with NIL, the money's not coming from the university. They're going, okay, we're going to get the kids happy by letting them pick up some bags, but we don't have to provide the bag. That's a good thing, right? So I guess the point that I'm making here is I get what Dabo is saying, but he is, in order to continue his disagreement with what is actually happening, he's taking this fringe little element over here and arguing against that and using that as an argument against everything that's happening in college ball. And it's not a good argument. It's just not. That's like me saying that Major League Baseball as a whole is bad because I don't like that pitchers have pitch comm units now. Like, dude, it's such a small fraction of the argument that by putting your argument up against that one thing, you basically make your argument irrelevant.
All right, so Keegan on the stream says, I was surprised that with Clemson so against NIL, they announced that Clemson will have an NIL program. I heard that this morning, that they're putting together an NIL program. My question, though, is with Dabo being so against it but not entirely against it, is he going to have anything to do with this?
Well, quick point of clarification for the record, because I do not want, when I go up against Dabo, I don't want it to be anything but on the table arguments. Dabo repeatedly emphasized that he is not against NIL. He repeatedly said, I am not against NIL. I'm not against NIL. He thinks the structure might be bad. His concern, and this is the other part, right? Like he literally said,
the perception is that he is against it.
And I will defend him here.
And once that's out there and it's been out there for a while, it's going to be hard for people to not believe that that's so.
I will, for the sake of being as intellectually honest in this debate as I can, I will reiterate that Dabo Swinney does not seem to be against NIL. He seems to be against what he fears is the next step, which is, okay, NIL's in play, but now we need the universities to give paychecks to these players, right? We need the university to give money to these people. And Dabo, I think, and Lonzo, I think you've said this, and I've even agreed with this. The premise of the university can provide money or a scholarship, but not both. And again,
and if they did that, then it comes back to what Dabo said about the kids not knowing what they don't know. So if you're given a choice, hey, you get all this money or we pay for your scholarship, how many kids who don't understand how things work are going to go, give me the money?
I get it. But again, I guess the question I've always asked is, why is this the one space that so many of you guys suddenly care about the decision-making factors of other people, right? You know who else didn't know what they didn't know when they started a job? Me in every job I've ever done. That's how jobs work. That's literally how life works, right? You're old enough to let these kids, and I'm going to make an argument here that's going to rile some people up, but it's got a point. Don't tell me it's cool for 18-year-olds to go into the military, but they're not quite smart enough to decide how a college scholarship should work, right? You guys are old enough to let them enlist and go into active duty, but they're not quite old enough to understand scholarships. Give them credit or don't.
The only flaw that I would say to that is in the military, there's structure that there won't be in this case, where you're making a decision, then
right, but they don't know that. Because they don't know what they don't know, right?
And in the military, there's structure.
No. See, here's and this is the point I'm going to make, and we got to go to a break. I got a small feeling this conversation's not over yet. But here's the thing. This is one of those things that people do, and I'm talking about the Royal because I've heard this before, not directly at Alonzo. It always seems that a lot of people have a problem with something unless it's their group that's doing that thing, and then suddenly it's okay, right? Suddenly it's okay. Well, I can say the same things about the United States military that I would that Dabo's making the argument that kids don't know what they don't know. Oh, well, the military structure. Oh, so it's okay that your favorite group does it, but not when a college does it. Let's take a break. We'll pick this up when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Alonzo. You are listening to the best sports talk radio show in the state of South Carolina, according to the South Carolina Broadcasters Association. You are listening to the Rob Brown Show. You are listening to the Fan Upstate. Tayshawn, what's up, fella? Dude, I didn't know you were a Warzone guy, Tayshawn. I saw you on Warzone the other night. Tried to see if you were there, but you may have walked away from the console or something. Me and my boys were running. I was trying to get you in with us.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same.
It's all good, fella. I'll get you in on the next one. I'm going to be on this week a little bit more than I have been. I finally got fiber into the house, so now I'm hardwired in. Not... Can't say anything around Lonzo.
I got nothing to add.
So Saturday, I sat in on Upstate Pulse with Lonzo, and I don't even remember what it was, but Lonzo said something, and I started to respond, that's what she said, but Lonzo's wife and daughter were both feet from me, and it turned into that's what I had to physically slap myself away from the microphone.
That was a lot of fun Saturday. Don't know if it'll be the last time ever, but you know. Did I tell you about one of my buddies who also owns another store? He got contacted by Ron Howard's people. Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
That is so cool. That's such a cool story.
Steven Simmons Lisa also took Rob out on an auction. She really did. Cam and I were about to just go ham on a bid for this really cool piece of Wonder Woman art. And then Miss Lisa looked us both dead in the eyes and was like, that's mine.
Hey, Darth, that joke was just for Rob alone. I will drop one every time he's on just to shock him. And I did.
No, you didn't. No, you just said that,
dude.
You just
said
that.
No,
and
it
then
was.
realized what
it was underneath, and it was okay. I probably just said that. Probably the next break.
So I have to. I don't know if she's in the stream yet, but I have to apologize to Miss Lisa, the better half of the Lonzo relationship in life, because like 3 different times, and she got me back in the end. I sat in with Lonzo on the Upstate Pulse Saturday night, live from SC Comic Con, and Lonzo dropped the best "that's what she said" joke I've had in a minute. Except for the problem was Miss Lisa and Lonzo's daughter, Raven, who, Raven's great. Love her. She's awesome. Were both standing feet from me. So I had to slap the "that's what she said" out of my own mouth. Then Miss Lisa is 10 feet from me, and Lonzo says, yeah, Rob got to see the compound. Because I did a couple of Wednesdays ago. And I described it as, in the daytime, it looks like the opening frames of a zombie apocalypse movie. And at the nighttime, it looks like the opening frames of a zombie apocalypse movie at night. And she just looks and goes, excuse me? To which I went, oh, yeah, you're here still. Whoops.
Yeah, you just now she's going to think about that all
Yeah.
the time. You're going to scare her trying to get, up the walkway to the door.
Well, in fairness, she ended up went out because at the auction, there was this really cool piece of Wonder Woman art I wanted from the studio. And me and show contributor Cameron, a.k.a. Zoe's son, were in the midst of a bidding war for this thing when Miss Lisa looks us both dead in the eyes and goes, that's mine. Cool. Good win.
My very first auction, and I had to tell Cameron and Rob many times, quit using your hands. Because the auction was going on while we're doing the show. And they both very expressive doing that. If you're watching the stream now, you can watch Rob do this many times. It's like, stop.
Yeah.
You're going to bid on. And some of those bids were getting a little bit high. And you almost bought some things you probably couldn't afford.
All right, let's keep with that discussion for a little bit further that we were having on the way out. Look, I want to make it abundantly clear. Yeah, I have zero issue with Dabo Swinney. I've met him twice since I moved here. He's a very nice guy. Very nice guy. Both times I've talked to him, you genuinely feel, I get why so many kids want to play for Dabo Swinney. I've met him twice. Both times that I've met Dabo Swinney, he is a dude that you connect to very quickly. He's a very friendly, personable, charismatic guy. And I understand the long-term concerns that he is expressing here. I understand it. I get it. But I think Dabo is pointing at the fly in the room and arguing like it's the elephant in the room. And that's the only problems I have with the comments is when he talks about these guys and he's like, oh, well, one day we're going to owe them a salary and they're going to go taxes and guys are going to get hired and fired. First off, we kind of already do that, right? It's just that instead of a paycheck, they get scholarship, room, and board, right? That's the only thing. You like the system as it is. You just don't want them getting money. And the arguments that Dabo is propping up here, as if it's the end of the world and we know it in college football, are all arguments that only a fringe few are suggesting. I'm not going to say there's nobody out there saying that colleges and universities should not pay players or that they should pay players. There are people making that suggestion. But they are such a fringe part of the conversation, such a fringe part of the argument that I don't know if it's worth addressing, right? This is the same problem. I used to do local news many years ago. I was a TV news reporter. And one of the reasons that I stopped being a TV news reporter, one of the reasons I quit doing it was because I hate how news directors, not anyone specifically, but I hate how some news directors, and this impacts every other station, when there is a small issue in town and they're like, we want you to go find the one person that's really upset about it and get a great interview out of them. And I'm not going to go interview, right? I'm not going to go interview the one guy who's standing on the corner with a pitchfork and a torch when 90% of the community does not care about this thing. Well, we got to get both sides. No. If 95% of the people agree on something and 5% don't, you don't make the 5% like, oh, this is the life-changing art. It's not. There's only 5 out of 100 people saying it should be this way. And that's what's happening here, I think. Dabo's taking the most fringe argument of some people and then trying to take down something that the majority of us have accepted. And you may not like it, but you've accepted it in NIL, for instance. Now, again, for clarification's sake, because the one thing I do not want to be accused of is being unfair here, Dabo has said, I'm not against NIL. What I'm against is blank. But then he kind of like, but because of this, we're going to have to blow up everything. I don't think we are.
All right. So have you ever been in a situation in your life where you've been in a system for many, many years and the system has worked? You understand the system. You're a part of the system. Sometimes you control the system and now the system is just gone. I think a lot of guys are in that situation. And I'm on Dabo's side as far as a lot of this stuff goes, but I've also accepted that this is how this is now. Whether I like it or not, this is how this is now. So the best thing when your system is gone and a new system is brought in, whether you like it or not, is to find out how the system works and make sure that your biggest fears that you have, if you have power to make sure those things don't happen, then do something to make sure those things don't happen.
So the other thing, because you're right, but you know who else is typically resistant to change of a system? Those who are kicking ass in the system, right? Those who are kicking ass in the system. If the system benefits you and the system works really well for you, you don't want to see the system changed. Because it means that you have to change too, and you may not have, and I'm not saying that this is specifically true about Dabo Swinney, but it's an argument. People who are kicking tail in the system don't want the system to change. I got a feeling Nick Saban probably feels a lot of the same things that Dabo does. Guys that have been in a system in a while and figured out the system, and the system benefits them, whether it's just inherently benefits them, or if they have worked, as Dabo has, right? If they have worked exceptionally hard, as Dabo Swinney has, to learn the system, to take advantage of the system, to benefit from the system, and to thrive in the system. Again, I don't think Dabo got handed anything. In fact, a solid chunk of y'all did not want Dabo Swinney to be the head coach of this team when he took over. He has worked his tail off to be as successful within the system as he has. So, of course, he doesn't want it to change. But I bet if we did a poll of 1,000 college football players and asked, are you better off? Do you have more opportunities under the new system than the old one? They would all say yes. The overwhelming majority of them would say yes. I'm sure there's some walk-on offensive guard somewhere that's like, I got nothing out of this. Right? But nothing's changed. Except for the players are better off. That's it. Now, I know Dabo's not a big transfer portal guy either. In fact, he talked about that as well. He said, my transfer portal is right there in that locker room because if I'm consistently going out every year and adding guys from the transfer portal, I'm telling all those guys in the locker room that I don't believe in them, that I don't think they can play. We're also not doing our job as coaches and recruiters if we're bringing in a bunch of transfers. Well, he did. He brought in 6, right?
But his point is right, though. I mean, if you're in that locker room and you see your coach going out and getting someone else, that means, for one thing, maybe they lied to you when they told you you were the best. They want you to come here. That means they're looking out for someone better than you all the time, and they can bring them in and take your position. The transfer portal, that's one of the scariest things because you know there's a good shot that the recruiters are lying to you, and as soon as they find this guy decided he wants to leave and go somewhere else, you're out.
Well, you know what I would say then? If you're a recruiter, don't lie to the kid.
Yeah, that would be the way to go,
start, right?
for sure.
Like
I don't think that's going to stop, though.
I love that the primary argument of there is now we can't lie to players about their playing time anymore. Well, darn, sucks to be you. You can't open the. But here's the thing.
It also sucks to be that kid who may have developed in that system and done really well, and then suddenly a guy comes in and takes his position, and he's like, I got to go somewhere else. So they got to go to another place, another system where they need to develop, and they may not get the chance to do so.
Oh, man. Hate real life. Hate real life. You know who else that's true about? Every person with a job.
Rob, they don't know what they don't know.
They don't know what they don't know. Back after this. One more segment in this hour, 2 to go after that. We'll break down that Clemson-Sprung game coming up in a few minutes, including the performance of DJ Uiagalelei. Clemson fans are panicked. I'm going to tell you, I'm right in the middle. Some good, some bad. Back after this on The Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate. All right, wrapping up hour number 1 here on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. I'm Rob. He is Lonzo. Phone lines open for you at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. You can also get at us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, and we will read them on the air for you. 71307 is the text line number. Start your message with FAN, and we will read them on the air. We're going to get a lot deeper into Clemson's spring game later on in the show. Owen Watterson is going to join us coming up at around 11:30. He was at the spring game this weekend covering it for us here on the Fan Upstate. He's got some thoughts and reactions to you. Let me start with this. I want you guys that are Clemson fans, and I have already started to get the messages rolling in. DJ looked like trash. DJ looked awful. DJ looked bad. Look, I'm going to start with this. This team was playing behind a hodgepodge offensive line. Both him and Cade Klubnik were both playing behind a hodgepodge offensive line. All right? They were already depleted as it was. Yes, both offensive lines got absolutely wrecked. Right? Both of these quarterbacks were playing in the face of a ton of pressure. But they were missing both starting tackles, Jordan McFadden and Walker Parks, both out for this game. They were split in half after that, right? So they were missing both starting tackles and then had to split. You had walk-ons going on both sides of the offensive line. And no disrespect to them, but they're not scholarship offensive linemen. They were going up against a full complement of defensive players. That right there is recipe for disaster. If in the regular season at any point the Clemson Tigers are missing both offensive tackles and have walk-on guys starting because they're that depleted, they're in trouble. That's just how it's going to be. And that's exactly what their spring game was this Saturday. So yeah, DJ did look like he was running for his life, but he wasn't running for his life and it's a spring game. First and foremost, let's chill. It's a spring game. But he wasn't running for his life because he was making bad decisions and missing opportunities and then having to scramble to make something happen after that, right? Like he wasn't running for his life because he missed the slant route opportunity and nobody else was open. He was running for his life because the walk-on starting guards in front of him were letting the D-line through. Dabo even pointed that out during the spring game, right? We got a lot of young guys across the offensive line, true freshmen, walk-ons, that are getting a lot of pressure put onto them by a good defensive line today, like a good defensive line. However, while I'll give him that credit, he was not running for his life because of bad decisions. He was running for his life because of bad offensive line with a lot of bang-ups and a lot of young guys and true freshmen and walk-ons starting. We're giving up pressures. The problem I had is the touch on the football still wasn't there, right? Now, I'm going to give him this. A lot of throws that he made last year in this spring game that would have been absolute rocket blast, he attempted to put touch on the football this year, which showed me he progressed, which showed me he learned. Not every ball is determined by can you get it there in a half a second. Sometimes you got to float that thing. Give your guy a second to work under it to get open. And he looked like he realized that, which is a big step up. Missed the touch, missed the throw, but it's progression. However, if he's going to lose his job to Cade, that will be the reason why. It'll be because those touch throws, he's just not making them. I'll break more of that spring game down coming up later in the show. This Saturday, South Carolina's spring game. which, as of right now, I'm planning on being at. I'll have a breakdown for that one for you next Monday. Stick around, don't go anywhere. We got 2 hours left of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Look at Brandon coming in with the smack. Love it. Right on cue, the Rome promo about Ice Tray.
Remember them chanting, "Bleep Trey Young" inside and outside the building after beating Boston? Yeah, neither do I.
CBS Sports Radio. Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it. Glad you liked the interview. The full video did not go up this weekend like I promised Lonzo it would because I was busy and bad at my job. It will be up today, right after the show. That is number 1 on my list on my sticky pad.
And you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with
Why is this thing flipping so much today?
I don't know.
5.72% APR with auto pay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money at a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 5.73% APR to 19.99% APR. Includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/rate for more information.
Yeah, guys, I could put the interview up, but Rob says he's going to, so I gotta wait and see if he's going to. Maybe I need to start putting time limits on it so when it doesn't get done, I take care of it. Of course, it does tease Comic-Con, which is now over, but
Good stuff springs to mind. Like spring break. Woohoo! A friend springing for drinks. Thanks, dude. A spring in your step. Spring fever. Oh, behave. And best of all, spring Morado pizza from the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. Yeah, baby. Experience the taste of spring with our amazing hand-tossed pies, spring fresh salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. Enjoy spring at the Mellow Mushroom on Augusta Street in Greenville's West End.
SC Works has the state's largest database. But did you know that SC Works also provides services to help you land a job? SC Works professionals can review your resume. Provide education and training.
I hope you're wrong about that, but you never know. It might end up being a Christmas gift.
And take the next step towards finding employment. Sponsored by SC Works. SC Works is a member of the American Job Center Network.
It's a really good video, by the way. I apologize for the thing on my lip, but
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters and they came in a tie. The type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs and overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Your one-stop shop for sports betting insight. It's MGM Tonight on the BetQL Network. Tonight at 7, only on
Kelly Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling, and instant cash offering. Instant cash offer is exactly what it sounds like. An official offer to buy or trade your car. Just enter your VIN or license plate. Answer a few questions about your car's history. And what kind of condition
I went and met Tony Schiavone.
you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fake.
Didn't meet the other guys.
Your car,
I looked at them.
time to meet. For all of the
I am not
.com.
sociable. I'm socially awkward. That's more it. I will say that Arn Anderson's son Brock looks even more like him in person.
Yeah.
Charmin Super Mega Roll is 6 regular rolls in one. Enjoy the go with
And John Ratzenberger's hair is really white.
How old is he now?
I don't know, but I mean, it's startingly, it's like a sun. It's just so white. You're walking through, and suddenly out of the corner of your eye, you see something like, wait. Yeah, when I went to talk to Tony, I just interviewed him on, and had fun conversation. Walked up to him, was like, "Yep, no idea what to say. Yeah, give me that. Thanks for being on the show with us. I gotta go."
Same great show, new time. Now 9 to noon, only on the Fan Upstate.
This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. DQ presents How to Know If Spring is Sprung. Step 1, order from the new Spring Treat collection. Step 2, grab a fruity blast step cone, s'more shake, or any of the colorful treats in DQ. Step 3, declare spring is indeed sprung. DQ, happy tastes good.
Still not entirely used to this. I mean, how many weeks has it been now? 2.5 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. Great to be with you. I am Rob, the great one. Lonzo is on the other side of the glass. Join us on the live stream of the show. You can go to facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or go to YouTube, search The Rob Brown Show. Click like and subscribe. We broadcast the show there as well. You can go behind the scenes, watch me and Lonzo do our jobs like we're in a human zoo, but it's for your entertainment, people. We subject ourselves to it.
If you've ever wondered what award-winning programming looks like behind the scenes,
Here's your chance.
here's your chance.
That's right. Join us on the stream. And if you go to one of those 3 sites, you can actually not only watch the show behind the scenes, but you can actually interact with us behind the scenes. We got guys like Seb and Ben and Trey and Tayshawn and Keegan and Brandon is in here this morning. And you're effectively getting a second show, right? Like you get the same show that goes out over the radio, but you're getting exclusive conversation off the air where you can interact directly with us, where we talk directly back to you on the stream. So join us on the live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, and The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. And by the way, coming soon to Twitch as well. We'll be on Twitch probably, if not tomorrow, definitely by Wednesday. I believe we got all the bugs worked out of the system to start going live on Twitch, so you'll be able to watch us on Twitch and interact with us there as well. That's what I wanted, Lonzo. One more place to get to see our bright, shining faces. You're welcome, America.
Yeah, but on Twitch, we get to go out to the Utes.
The Utes. The Utes, Your Honor. The Utes. Did you just say Utes in my courtroom? All right. A lot more stuff we want to get into. Talked a little bit about the Clemson spring game, and we started with the quarterback position. Because of course we did.
You know, this bothers me, and most fan bases are like this, but yeah, DJ was not Trevor. He was not Deshaun. But, who is? Other than those guys. And how many wins did he get you guys last year, Clemson? He did all right. For someone that you want replaced, you guys still did pretty well. Did you make the playoff? No. But you won a good amount of games. What did they go, 10-2, I think? Or was it 11-1? I don't remember. But all I know is that it was a lot of games that you won with this guy, and you just want him gone right now. He's just going to get him out of there. It's always the next guy.
One thing that happens to football teams, I watched this happen over the number of years that I broadcasted down in the Florida Panhandle, right? I was an hour and 45 minutes from Tallahassee, just like I am an hour and 45 from Clemson here. Not an hour and 45, that's South Carolina, like 50 minutes from Clemson. Doorstep to doorstep of Tiger Stadium's 45 minutes. One thing that tends to happen to fan bases when they have sustained success is they get spoiled. And with that comes a little bit of entitlement, right? Like, we deserve to be the best. And we deserve, in this case, a Heisman frontrunner at quarterback. And anything less than perfection is not good enough. I watched it happen in Tallahassee, right? The end of the Bobby Bowden era in Tallahassee got a little ugly because from the early 90s through the early 2000s, Florida State was one of those teams that you wanted to win a title. The title went through the state of Florida for a number of years, right? You had Bobby Bowden, Florida State, competing with Steve Spurrier. Then when Spurrier left, it was Florida State for a little while. You've had in the early 90s, you had a very good Miami Hurricanes team that would compete, beat Florida State often. Then, of course, you had Urban Meyer show up into town at Florida, win a couple of titles there. When Bobby left and Jimbo Fisher took over, they won another championship in 2013. For a very long time, the national championship ran through the state of Florida. If you wanted to win it, you had to beat Miami, FSU, or Florida. And after Jimbo left, Jimbo didn't just leave the cupboard bare when he left. Jimbo lit the house on fire when he left. And it was interesting watching the first few years after Jimbo Fisher left Tallahassee, because Florida State was just a regular football team at that point. FSU was just a regular, they were just in the realm of regular college football teams. They weren't the dynasty anymore. And Florida State fans stopped showing up. I would go cover games in Tallahassee, and you'd have a nighttime ACC matchup against North Carolina. An okay team, certainly not a threat to win the ACC, but an ACC matchup that was big for FSU, and you'd show up and there'd be 35,000 in attendance, 30,000. And unless it was Florida coming to town, or unless it was Clemson coming to town on the FSU ACC schedule, Florida State was turning up with 35,000 people on a regular basis. And then, well, what can't we get top-tier recruits anymore? Because you're turning in 30, 35,000. In fact, I remember Andrew Wiggins, who is an NBA player now. Wiggins was going to be the next big thing. He was a one-and-done, but he was one of those one-and-dones that was so good that if he's on your team as a one-and-done, you're a Final Four threat immediately. And Wiggins was interested in Tallahassee because his mom ran track and field for FSU. So he would have been a legacy recruit. And Andrew Wiggins came to an FSU basketball game, right? And at the time, I was on the air in Florida, and I'm going, hey, if you guys want Andrew Wiggins to go to this school, when he shows up for your game at the Donald Tucker Center, which is off the campus of Tallahassee, which is a big problem, but that's another discussion for another time, said if you want this guy to come to your school and make you a Final Four contender just by showing up and being on the roster, you need to pack the tuck. And they did. And they had like 15, I don't even know. They let's say maybe 3,500, 4,000 people show up. It was bad. Like the upper section of the arena was empty. And I told him the next day, Andrew Wiggins ain't playing here. Because why would you play there when you could go to Kansas and play in front of 16,000 Jayhawks fans who are going to be up for every game? By the way, that game that Wiggins came to was Florida State. It's a rivalry game. So for your biggest rival, you brought in $4,000. Why is he going to go there when he can play in front of 17,000 in a packed arena in Kansas? And that's what he did. That's what he did. You translate that to football, it's the same thing. You got to keep in mind, and I've said this, kids come to play not for a university, okay? You may have 10% of college football players who know where they're going if they get offered a scholarship from that school. They grew up an Auburn fan or a Bama fan or an LSU fan. You might have a handful of kids that when they're in high school, they go, I have been a Clemson fan or an FSU fan or a South Carolina fan or a Florida fan for 100 years. And if I get a scholarship offer, that's where I'm going to play because I want to play for the University of blank or blank university. But the overwhelming majority of kids, that's not what they play for anymore. And if they can walk into one stadium and see 70,000 for a game that doesn't really matter, right? They show up on a recruiting trip to your school taking on an FCS program in a paycheck game. And they see, I don't know, 12,000, 15,000 people there, 20,000 people. And then they go to another school. And they see that school also playing an FCS team, but they bring 70K strong and rolled out the fireworks like it's their biggest game of the year. One of those is more attractive. And especially with NIL, right? Because here's the thing. NIL is nothing more than what? Advertising. It's advertising. Everything is sales. My dad used to hammer that into my head when I was a kid. Everything is sales. Every conversation you ever have is a sale. You are selling yourself as a friend, as a relationship partner, as a business person. It's a sale. When you walk down the street and you pass a guy and he goes, how's the weather? He is trying to sell you that he is worth a brief conversation at that moment. You may not think about it that way, but everything is sales. NIL is sales. Dr. Pepper did not give DJ Uiagalelei $1 billion because he really likes Dr. Pepper. Hey, man, thanks for drinking our soda. Here's 7 figures. They gave him $1 million because when DJ Uiagalelei, pre what happened last year, went on television, that was a Heisman Trophy finalist in the making. That was a guy who was supposed to be the best quarterback in college football last year. And it's easy to get people to see, oh, that's DJ. Oh, he's holding a Dr. Pepper. I'll have a Dr. Pepper. I'm thirsty. Right? NIL is sales. It's advertising. And that is one thing that coaches have to factor into what is happening now, both with recruiting and the transfer portal. You want to know why Clemson set up an NIL center, even though Clemson seemed to be one of the schools that was not a big fan of the NIL concept? Why they set up an NIL center for their players? Because it's sales. You now have to sell your university to the recruits, not the other way around. And so if I show up on a game day Saturday and one school puts 40,000 into the seats and one school puts 80,000 into the seats, I'm not just looking at this and going, hey, I want to play in front of more people. Hey, I want to play in front of a larger audience. If a school is selling out their stadium for mid-tier games, that means there's a rabid fan base that's paying attention to what's happening. They're paying attention to every little game, every little detail. And if they are that plugged in, then advertisers are certainly going to be more likely to start putting money towards advertising to them. And now these advertisers have a new resource, right? It used to be that I don't know, $30,000 would get you a big sign on the scoreboard in the stadium. And that's fine, right? Because you're putting your big sign for your product in front of 40 to 70,000 people on college game day Saturdays. But most teams have, 6 or 7 home games? Now, for $30K, I can put my logo into the hands of a Heisman Trophy finalist or a stud wide receiver who's well-known on campus. And all I need that guy to do is go on Twitter and go, drink Dr. Pepper. It's delicious and I like it. That didn't translate as well as I wanted it to.
Yeah, it didn't work. It must be the cup or something. I think it might kill the sound.
Yeah, you get the point, though. Right? Now, a big sign on the scoreboard gets in front of 70,000 6 or 7 times a year. If that kid, if DJ Uyunglele is on TV popping the top on a nice frosty Dr. Pepper, how many faces is he going in front of? And on a smaller scale, Rob's Used Cars in Clemson, South Carolina. I don't have the advertising budget to put a big sign in the stadium on Saturdays. Doesn't exist. But I got a $10,000 budget. I bet you I can get Phil Maffa to show up at Rob's Used Cars twice as many times per year. Hey, Phil, I'm going to give you $10K to come to my car dealership every other Saturday during the off season and sit there and sign autographs. You in for $10K?
Come down and help me sell some Kias.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry, I just pictured you selling Kias. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Probably some sort of hybrid, something like that.
Yeah, I'm going all electric. Hey, I'm Phil Maffa. You want a car that's as electric as I am? Try my new Tesla. By the way, I sat in on the Upstate Pulse Saturday. I was telling you guys earlier. Lonzo and Cameron decided to Reitzel tag team me at some point. So my revenge was on WORD to start talking about how we needed to fix global warming, drive electric cars, save the endangered species, stop producing oil, etc. I've never seen Lonzo give me the stare he gave me during that show. It was amazing.
You know why, Rob? Because we don't talk politics on that show, and you were going against the creed of the show.
I wasn't talking politics. Those are all mantras. Anyway.
Mantras.
10K will get me the running back to come down to my car dealership. It won't get me anything on the university campus, right? The point is that these kids aren't playing for the you anymore. They're playing for the me. Oh, that's a great tagline. How did I just come up with us? The kids aren't playing for the you. They're playing for the me. Trademarked, hashtag, don't use it. It's mine.
I'll put it in a promo. It'd be just as good as copyright.
Perfect. The kids aren't playing for the you. They're playing for the me. And see, this is where the old fans go, they don't have the passion like we do. Really? What do you do for a job? Guy who's mad at that sentiment? What do you do for a job? Do you do that job because you have great pride in your job? Or do you do that job, for money? For money. The answer is you do it for money. You may take pride in your job. You may love your job. I do. I take pride in my job. I love my job.
Wait. We do this job for money?
Not much, but
really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I love my job.
I don't want to get myself in any more trouble. Yeah, I love the money that I have. I'd like to have more, but, we're good.
Can't wait for that new intro I'm getting. You think he forgot? You think he forgot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I love my job. I take great pride in my job, but I do the job for the money. I do my job for the perks of the job too, right? I do my job because my job, you know what my job is Saturday night? I'm going to sit in the press box at the University of South Carolina and watch a spring game. That's a great perk of the job. My perks are I get to go to games for free and get fed that you guys pay money for. That's part of why I do the job. These kids, they may take pride and passion in doing their job exceptionally well. But they do their job for whatever the benefits of it are. They do their job, the top tier, so they can go to the league. They do their job so they can get an education. And now they can do their job so they get an NIL deal and a little extra scratch because of it. It's real simple. And teams are going to recognize that or not. Coaches are going to recognize that or not. Like I said, the reason that Dabo says we need to blow, or we're going to see a blow up of college football and we need it, is because Dabo was incredibly successful under the old system. Dabo was remarkably successful in the way that the old system worked. And now if there's a brand new system where somebody else can benefit, he may not benefit the same way. So of course he wants a blow up. And I would bet that if he got his blow up, and I would bet that if he got his blow up and he had a say in how the new system looks, it would look remarkably similar to the old system. I put $1 down on that. Of course. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, you may or may not have heard. I told you last week that there was a major sporting event happening in Greenville, South Carolina. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, where the Greenville Triumph took on the Oakland Roots in 1-2-0. Ladies and gentlemen, the ante has been upped. And when we come back, I'm going to speak to you, not as Rob Brown, the radio dude, not even as Rob Brown, the Greenville Triumph fan, but I'm going to tell you why you need to be at Legacy Early College for their next game, both to back the Triumph, but also to grow Greenville sports, because this is going to be an opportunity unlike anything we have ever seen before, and that is not exaggeration. Tell you what I mean when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. For what? The intro thing? Yes, Skrilla. Absolutely. Bring me back your comments, man. 100%.
Nagging back pain, or a hip that has you hobbling. Nothing matters more than getting you back to feeling your best. As South Carolina's most preferred orthopedic provider and official team doctors for the Gamecocks and Tigers, Prisma Health provides all the care you need. With more expertise, more technology, and more locations closer to you. We're doing even more to help you be your healthiest you. Prisma Health, the orthopedic experts.
No staring at your phone, no rolling in 2 hours late, no sweatpants, no jeans, and no shorts. For complete rules on contests, go to espnupstate.com/win. Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Up.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you along for the ride on a beautiful Upstate Monday morning. Finally, some nice weather, man. Blue skies. Not a cloud to be seen. You got to love it.
Mid to upper 70s today.
Perfect.
I know.
Perfect. So last week, I told you guys turn up to Legacy Early College on a Thursday afternoon. I said, I know 7 o'clock Thursday, you know, a lot of you, I got work the next day, yada, yada, yada. But I said, show up. It's a big event. U.S. Open Cup. It is the biggest and oldest soccer tournament in the States. It is a soccer tournament that includes every level of professional and amateur soccer that is recognized by the U.S. Soccer Federation. That goes all the way up to Major League Soccer, to the MLS. And I said turn up because the Triumph, who are in the USL League One, right? There's USL Champions League, which is the top tier. And then there's USL League One, which is where Greenville plays. And yes, I have aspirations that one day the Greenville Triumph will progress to USL Champions League. So I said, show up. It's a big deal. Big opportunity for Greenville to get onto the national stage. Yeah, onto the national stage. So we were on ESPN Plus. I know that because I got a bunch of Facebooks and tweets from you guys saying you saw me beating the drums in the supporter section. Ladies and gentlemen, the day after the Greenville Triumph knocked off the Oakland Roots 2-0 at home to advance in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open, Lonzo said, hey, Rob, I got a text from our buddy Tim Holcomb. You guys know Tim. He's been on the show a number of times. What are the chances that the Greenville Triumph could play Charlotte FC, the MLS team, in their inaugural season up in Charlotte, North Carolina? And I told Lonzo there's a decent chance at it because when they did the new draw, we and Charlotte were in the same group. It was like a 20% chance, but it was on the table. Well, I don't know, Zoe, what, an hour after you asked me that question, the U.S. Open Cup draw took place. And who did the Greenville Triumph draw? Charlotte FC, an MLS team.
And guess what happened after that on social media? A ton of stuff has been talked already between Greenville
and Charlotte.
Oh,
yeah. It's great. It's great. Down the crown, up the Triumph. But it goes one level deeper because not only did the Greenville Triumph draw Charlotte FC, an MLS team, in the mix, but Charlotte FC did not put in a bid to host a game in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup because the dates that Charlotte FC had on the mix for the third round of this tournament, BOA has concerts and events scheduled, which means that not only is the Greenville Triumph going to play the MLS side of Charlotte FC, Lonzo, but Charlotte FC is coming to the Ville. Charlotte FC takes on the Greenville Triumph at Legacy Early College in Greenville, South Carolina. Kids, that is the top tier of American professional soccer. Sending their team to little old Greenville, South Carolina to take on a USL League One side, and it's in our house. Now, when we played Oakland, we got ESPN love, we got CBS love, we got ABC love, we got Fox Sports love. Now we get an MLS side coming to town. Now we got an MLS team coming to play in our yard. You don't think that could go front? And by the way, a Charlotte FC team that, as far as I am concerned, while good, is punching above their weight a little bit, right? They've had some really good results lately. They've finally been putting goals into the net, but they're punching above their weight. They got a couple of good players, but they're a C tier MLS team today. It's their first year. Of course they are. That's not a shot. It's their inaugural season. It's going to take some time.
Are you confident enough to maybe go a show versus show bet? Because I just happen to know the guy who does the call for Charlotte FC, and I could probably set something up.
Yeah.
And I think he would be game to do something there.
Here's the thing. Let's not pretend we're not underdogs in this, right? Like, let's not pretend we're not dogs. I'm a reality guy. Let's not pretend the Triumph aren't probably 2, maybe 3 goal dogs in this match. But we were also dogs to Oakland. That's a Champions League squad, right? That's a USL Champion League squad. They're a level above us. They have more resources. They have a much bigger talent pool to draw from. And we took them down 2-0 in our house. I am asking you guys, not as Rob Brown, host of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. I am asking you guys, not as Rob Brown, big-time Greenville Triumph fan, which I am. I'm at every match. You know why the people saw me on TV? Because I literally go to every match and play the drums in the drum line for those matches. I love local sports. I got my Swamp Rabbit gear on today. I got my Triumph gear ready for the 20th. This is an enormous opportunity for the Greenville Triumph. And this is why I make this request, this is an enormous opportunity for the city of Greenville and for upstate South Carolina to put themselves further on the map. I think we already are, right? I think by proxy to Clemson, to South Carolina, I think by proxy, being in the heart of NASCAR country, being less than a 2-hour drive from not one but 2 NFL teams, not one but 2 NBA teams, by being an hour and 45 from the defending World Series champion Atlanta Braves, we are kind of in the heart of some of the best sports in the country. And we can utilize that to keep growing as a sports community. This game, this match, with an MLS team coming to our house, is an opportunity to cement that. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we're not the dogs going into that game. We are. We are underdogs. There's no doubt about it. But think about the love that this place gets if the Greenville Triumph were to upset a Major League Soccer team. Think about the recognition that this place would get if we are able to knock off Charlotte FC in a match at home in our house. That's going primetime, right? That's getting on every big sports talk television show you're going to talk about. And yeah, a lot of it's going to be like, oh my goodness, did you see that this little bitty club nobody knows about was able to knock off an MLS team? But everything is something that you haven't heard about until you hear about it, right? And when we're sitting here and looking and going, the Triumph can move up in leagues to Champions League down the line. When you look at it and go, back-to-back years, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits have made runs at the SPHL Championship. the Greenville Drive have perhaps the most iconic minor league stadium in America with their own mini green monster. With Clemson and South Carolina and Atlanta and Charlotte, all within driving distance. Imagine the spot we find ourselves in if the Greenville Triumph pull off the biggest upset in the history of the upstate, period. This would be it, right? If there's a bigger upset that's ever happened for a team in our market, I don't know what it is. But we need to throw everything we've got behind that squad to do it. I don't care if you're not even a big soccer fan. This is going to be a show, right? As soon as that draw got announced last week, I called our buddy Chris Lewis, the president of the Triumph. I'm like, hey, this is a sellout, right? He went, yup. I got a call with Doug Irwin, the CBO, scheduled for right after the show goes off the air in an hour and 24 minutes to make sure we're all set up on our end to cover that. I talked to our buddy Andrew, the president of the Reedy River Riot Supporters Club. I said, hey, man, 110 is going to be a sellout, right? He goes, yup. This will not be standing room only. This will be whatever the next level is. But what we really want, what we really need, is to make sure that we've got more Triumph supporters in Legacy early than we do Charlotte FC supporters. If there is good news to be had, it's that this match is going to take place on a weekday. Looks like it's next Wednesday, April 20th. So you're not going to get as many Charlotte FC people coming down for this match as you would if it was on a Friday or Saturday. But there's going to be a bunch. The visitor section is going to be full. I have no doubt about that. What I want is of the 5+ K that are in attendance for this match, I want 4 of them wearing green. Because this is the type of event that grows this community. I've already told you, we are a soccer town. It is a growing soccer town. Between the Triumph, between the Liberty, Clemson winning the NCAA Men's National Championship, South Carolina going out of their way to get into CUSA to field a men's team and play a competitive schedule. This is a soccer community. You don't have to like it. You do have to accept it. But we are a sports community overall. And if we put 5K and have 4 of them wearing green onto TV next Wednesday, and fingers crossed, we find a way to pull the upset of the century across the upstate, that's going top 10 on every sports TV show the next day. We will be talked about around the country as the little team that could, who knocked off an MLS side in a big-time tournament, and would go a long way towards advancing us as the furthest advancing of the smaller division teams in this tournament, which means there's the potential for a fat check that would be invested back into the team, back into the community. I am asking you not as Rob, host of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. I am asking you not as Rob, leader in the supporter section. I am asking you not as Rob of the Greenville Triumph fan club, of which I am. I am asking you as Rob Brown, the guy who loves this place, the guy who loves this city, who loves this community, who loves the upstate, and who loves the sports presence that we have. And I'm telling you, as somebody plugged into every one of those angles, this is the type of event that puts you not on the map, but highlights you on it. So let's do the damn thing. Let's turn up. Let's turn out. Let's pack Legacy early. Let's go beat Charlotte FC. Let's go win this match. Let's go put ourselves not on the map. Let's go highlight ourselves on the map. Down the crown, up the Triumph. Let's go. It's going to be great. I will be there. I hope you will too. Even if you don't like soccer, come dig it. Come enjoy it. It's going to be an event. Let's take a break. We're back after this. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. Rob Lonzo and you. This is the Fan Upstate.
So if you like, I could text someone and try to get them on this show before they get on another show.
Yeah.
Not that it's a competition, but he's on the air on FNZ right now, filling in. But I will text him.
NBA Sunday, the Hornets beat the Wizards 124-108. Major League Baseball Sunday, the Braves fell 6-3 at home against the Reds. Hunter Green won his Major League debut. Kyle Farmer hit a 2-run single and a 5-run third. The rookie righty gave up 3 runs, 4 hits, and 3 walks with 7 strikeouts over 5 innings. Reds took a 5-0 lead in the 3rd inning. Atlanta starter Ian Anderson gave up 5 runs on 3 hits over 2 2/3. He walked 5 and struck out 1. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate. Then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders, and that's your sports flash on The Fan Upstate. At Ingalls, we know firsthand that building a dream isn't easy. That's why we help small businesses discover the right ingredients for success, delivering the best local products, and hopefully a few dreams along the way.
This week at Ingalls, select 25-count Cascade Action Packs dishwasher detergent, $4.98 each. Select 52-ounce Florida's Natural Orange Juice, 2 for $5. And select varieties 16 to 20-ounce Planters Nuts, 2 for $5. Ingalls, low prices, love this savings.
Pre-spring in South Carolina means using the AC during the day and the heater at night. When your HVAC unit stops working, you need a company you can trust. Priority Heating and Air HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems. So keep your family or business comfortable and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or find them online, PriorityHeatingandAirHVAC.com.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, use my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 5.73% APR with auto pay and excellent credit.
Well, that don't look right.
Pay off my high interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount.
Had an older age. We thought maybe it was over after back surgeries. And now this car wreck.
Subject to credit approval, rates range from 5.73% APR to 19.99% APR. Includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply.
From the story of
Change without notice. Visit Lightstream.
guaranteed grades, right? This is Zeus.
There's nothing like hearing the songs
But
you
the
love
biggest
on
thing that
local
I think-
radio, with no subscriptions and no monthly fees.
And in
But there's a
Tigers
bill
failed
in
marriage.
Congress that could stop the music. If passed, this bill would tax
Right,
your
Thompson, my
local
college
radio
roommate, great
stations
writer for
simply to
ESPN,
play
who wrote
music you
about
love.
Tigers Masters.
Text local to 52886 and ask Congress to support local radio stations. Help us keep you connected to the music, local news, weather, and traffic that you need each day. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
This feature sponsored by Dell. When you call a Dell Technologies advisor, they're focused on you, ready to give advice on everything from Windows laptops to the cloud to keep your small
Well, Tayshawn, you were going to smoke me at Call of Duty, but the good news is that I'm really funny when we play. Like, that's my addition to the group. I did almost clutch a 3v1 the other day with the boys. It was down to 2 teams, me versus 3, and I got 2 of them, and the last guy got me. Killed me. I had him. I had him!
It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician verified fixes. The free fix finder service, only at AutoZone. More details at AutoZone.com.
You're the one everyone looks to for answers. Come rain or shine, the job must get done.
All right, I text him. I'll let you know when he
Okay.
gets back to me. But I had seen earlier that he's filling in on FNZ.
Okay.
If and probably when he says yes, I'll see if maybe we can get him on StreamYard too.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
Anywhere fans go to cheer on their team, there are behind-the-scenes MVPs, ensuring everything is game day ready. We see you, Joe, fixing seats,
keeps their stadium running smoothly from the moment the first game starts to the last play of the season. At Grainger, you're our MVPs, and we're always here for you with supplies and solutions for every industry and 24/7 customer support. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Celebrate spring at Banana Republic Factory with 50 to 70% off everything. Discover vibrant dresses, modern suits, and more from $24.99. Find your nearest store or shop online. Only at Banana Republic Factory.
More than the scores. Real sports talk for real sports fans.
By the way, can I just say, and I'm not going to spend a bunch more time on this. Let me just say, but I'm just a fan, right? I don't have a stake in that team, the Greenville Triumph, or the Swamp Rabbits, or the Drive, or Furman, or Wofford. Let me phrase that. I do have a stake in the team. When our teams are good, I make more money, all right? So I guess I have a stake in the game that way. But I've told you guys a lot. I genuinely believe this place is an incredible sports community. And these are the type of events that make it that. So if we can grow them, if we can show up, show out, turn up, turn out, it makes us look that much better. Speaking of things that make us look better, how about this, Lonzo? This is just for, well, it's not just for me and Zoe, it's for all of you, but I find it interesting. WrestleMania 38, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. Metrics-wise, outperformed the Super Bowl. 2.2 billion social media impressions for WrestleMania, 1.8 for the Super Bowl. Video views. WrestleMania has crossed 1.1 billion video views. The Super Bowl on their official channels, 618 million. Engagements. Now, I don't know what an engagement is. Scratch that. I don't know what a social media engagement is. Like if it's a direct reaction to one of their channels or not. But 87 million for WWE, 78 million for the Super Bowl, and video watch time. There have been 13.1 million hours of WrestleMania video consumed versus 3.56 for the Super Bowl.
All I can think of is this just proof positive of what Arn Anderson said right here on this show.
Friend of the show, Arn Anderson.
It's okay to be a wrestling
It's
fan.
okay.
It's not only is it okay, but there are a lot of us out there, as proof by these stats.
Yeah. So there you go.
Other people, other shows may may poo-poo this, but they would be the minority.
All right. A couple other things I wanted to get into here. Rob freaking Manfred. What a clown. Like, and I was going to say not even the funny kind, but here you go. When Major League Baseball players who were locked out of their jobs for 100 days, who were told, you may not be getting a paycheck at all this year because we might not be playing baseball because the owners just don't feel like they have enough. When they showed up for their opening day last Thursday or Friday, they showed up for opening day, and sitting on the stools of each of them was a little box and an envelope. The envelope contained a letter from Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred, which said, please accept this gift as a small gesture of my appreciation for the hard work that comes from being a major leaguer and your respect for our incredible fans. Thank you for everything you do in a game that has such a rich history and deep meaning to our fans in the U.S. and around the world. Wishing you the best of luck for a successful season. And with that envelope and letter came a box, Lonzo, where the commish of Major League Baseball decided to show, as a token of appreciation with all of the players, a set of headphones for them to wear.
Were they Bluetooth?
They were Bose noise-canceling headphones.
Hey.
Don't get me wrong, like $300 headphones.
I'll say, that's not,
Not cheap cans. But that was it. That was, hey, sorry about that whole almost costing you a year of your career thing. Sorry about that whole us throwing you under the bus for 100 days thing. Sorry about that whole threatening your livelihood thing. Sorry about how we made you guys look like crap to the fans. That's our bad. Here's a set of headphones. We square? We good? We're good here, right? We're good? It's like the equivalent of punching the dude in the bar in the mouth and then being like, let me buy a Mick Ultra. We good? We're square? And don't get me wrong, not a shot at Mick Ultra. I consumed a few of them this weekend. I'm just saying, no. No. We're not square, man. You made me look bad. You tried to intentionally make us look bad and in the process threatened our paychecks for a year. I'm pretty sure I got enough money in the bag to buy a set of headphones. Rob?
Are they monogrammed? Maybe it's
No.
something special on there.
Just and again, they're nice headphones. They're nice headphones. They're fine headphones. If anybody wants to buy me a pair of Bose noise canceling headphones, I'll accept them. They're nice. But I suspect
Actually, I don't think you could accept them because it falls in that window of you probably could.
If anybody who knows me wants to buy them for me as a friend, I would accept them. But yeah, it's no, Rob. Like, do you understand this is why nobody likes you? This is why nobody likes you, man. Like, this is the reason. You ever been in a situation, Lonzo, where no gift is better than a gift? Like, I would have appreciated more if you'd have just gone away and said nothing. You know what this is the equivalent to? Or an equivalent to? I used to be a bartender, right? I used to be a bartender. And this was the equivalent of the guy who bought like $19.18 worth of drinks, and then he left a $20 bill on the counter and bounced, right? Like, I would have rather you just have kept the change yourself than leave me a 63-cent tip. No, Rob. We're not square. We're not good. What a joke. This is your problem, Major League Baseball. This guy. Well, this guy and the owners who built him up. It's your problem. Quick break. When we come back, Masters review. Scotty taking home the green jacket after a great final round. It wasn't so much about where Tiger finished, but that he finished. That and more coming up next. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
I have to go to the restroom. He said this week he's hosting 10 to 2. The game's not till next Wednesday.
Correct. Yeah.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different how? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden or layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investment securities involve the risk of loss.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions
same, but is 90% cheaper, and you can get it online. Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
My favorite thing about the Upstate is the pride I sense in each of you that you're from here. It's evident in all you do. Since 1916, Smith & James men's clothing has been an Upstate staple. They are the fabric of the community, literally. And Smith & James thrives because they succeed at their mission to make you look your best. Believe me, if they can make me look good, they can do it for anybody. I'm the before picture. Visit Smith & James at 222 Trade Street in Greer or at their new location on Verde Boulevard in Greenville, and visit them online at smithandjames.com.
Jim Rome in that jungle.
You know Tyreek saw what Devontae Adams got from the Raiders and then said to the Chiefs, I want that. And then the Chiefs ultimately decided, we're not willing to give you that. The next thing you know,
All right. He's also hosting Monday. He wants to know if he can do it the day of the game, and I said yes.
Yeah, it's fine.
while everybody in the AFC West is loading up.
He's probably going to ask me what time, though.
Anytime in the show he can fit. It's fine. Because Wednesday we don't have a, as of right now, I don't have a regular interview on Wednesdays, right? All we got right now is Rashad on Thursdays.
We've got the pitch and 3 client meetings. She meets another analyst before her team's free time plummets.
So who's running the competitive analysis on fruit snacks?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply. I'm Serena Williams. You watch me live on TV.
And I'm that voice for movies you watch on demand. DirecTV Stream brought us together to save the world.
Maybe not save the world, but DirecTV Stream does bring your live and on-demand favorites together.
Your favorites together.
I just said that.
She just said that.
Introducing DirecTV Stream, the best of live TV and on-demand with no annual contract. Get your TV together at directv.com.
Requires high-speed internet and compatible device. Content varies by package and location. Restrictions apply.
The Rob Brown Show, now 19.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. The biggest story of the week is a story coming out of the NFL owners meetings that your boy Matt Rule, there was a party and Matt Rule, the dancing queen, was tearing up the dance floor and putting other folks to shame. Rashad, how good is it to know that you might have the 30
So he has to find out if they have any game day obligations, and then let us know. And then I told him we can work them in wherever since we have no guests.
I mean, we can do it this week too. Oh, he's on during.
Yeah,
the
he's
show.
yeah.
Got it.
Dancing coach in the league. I heard about it, unless there's video to prove it. I don't believe it's true. There was a video of him doing the Cupid shuffle. Somebody tweeted that out back when he was in Temple.
Grade that for me.
Man, I'm a little bit tough on the Cupid shuffle. I gotta get some solid deep love.
Prisma in the first break.
Same great show, new time. Now 9 to noon, only on the Fan Upstate.
Prisma in the first break.
South Carolina Education Lottery. South Carolina's beauty is on full display on 5 new tickets. The scenic South Carolina collection of scratch outs pay tribute to some of the state's most iconic spots. With a top prize of $200,000, it really pays to check these out. See SCEducationLottery.com for game odds and details. The Fan.
WORD Sprung.
WIPCH Draconia, the official sports voice of you, the Upstate Fan. CBS Sports Fan. An Odyssey station.
Man, check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents freedom, freedom.
Yeah. Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Rob only.
The Fan Upstate.
Here we go. The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show is underway. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello. upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. What's happening, y'all? Great to be with you. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me, the professor of perfection, Lonzo, is at the board. Be a part of the show, 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE, 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. I got to tell you, yesterday, the lady friend and I decided to, along with some other folks from around the station, hit up the Greenville Drive game. Yesterday was my first baseball game in person since this year. Obviously, it's opening weekend. So yesterday afternoon, me and the lady friend decided to go hit up the Greenville Drive game and go get some baseball in, man. Like, it's Sunday fun day. Go grab yourself a couple of cocktails, sit out in right field, enjoy taking the atmosphere. And I've said this a lot of times, to have the stadium that we have for the Drive right here in the Ville. I mean, that's huge. That's fantastic. So I get there, and sitting up in front of me, like right over from us, is this. By the way, and on top of that, as if baseball wasn't good enough as is, sitting one section over in a row ahead of us were these people, who had this absolutely beautiful golden doodle. Now, I know that in of itself, it's like most people are like, golden doodle. Come on, Rob, you can do better.
Wait. We're talking about a dog.
Yes, a dog.
Okay, because golden doodle, I mean, I don't think that's common knowledge what that is exactly. Is this like a Labradoodle, or is it?
It's a golden doodle.
It's a golden doodle. So
Yeah.
so there's a breed of dog just called golden doodle.
It's a mix of a golden retriever and a poodle.
That's weird.
It's not.
That is weird. Now I gotta look that up.
How is that weird?
Just gotta.
It's a golden. So this dog. Well, in fairness though, because I don't know that you will get. I don't know that you'll get the picture of this dog, but this dog was a polar bear, right? This dog had to be 90 pounds. His name was Barkley. It had to be 90 pounds with like this white fur. I mean, it's just a cool dog. And so anyway, I said to the young lady that was hanging out with the dog, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry to be weird. Can I ask what kind of dog that is? And she said, yeah, it's a golden doodle, and he's this and he's that. Dog's great. So finally they let the dog comes over to say hi. And great dog. Name's Barkley. Phenomenal. Well, I leave the stadium, and I'm telling the lady friend when we're leaving, I'm like, hey, I gotta I need that dog. I need a Barkley in my life, right? Because we got a dog. And when we were told, Lonzo, and I love the dog, just to be abundantly clear, I love this dog.
Okay, so you're not talking about trading in
No,
or
no,
anything.
no.
Okay,
No,
all
my
right.
dog's my dog. We named our dog, because I don't think I've said this on the air. We named our dog Remy Laveau. Any guess as to why I named her Remy, Lonzo?
I already know the story.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So named her Remy Laveau. And Remy comes from, Remy was thrown out by the lady friend when we were going over names, right? Because we were going to go Nola, but the lady friend's mom and them have a dog already named Lola. And we're like, nah, that'd be confusing, so we're not going to go Nola. Then we were going to go Nova, because I'm a big space dork, and I just like the name Nova. But then we got told by a buddy of ours who does dog training, don't put the word no into your dog's name.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes
Don't
good
put
sense.
the word no into your dog's name unless the dog's like older and already trained, because then she'll associate that. So we got rid of Nova. And then she goes, what about Remy? Well, Remy LeBeau is the name of Gambit from the X-Men, who is my favorite X-Men. Of course he is. He's a suave-talking, handsome man from Louisiana, just like me. So I'm like, Remy's great. Well, then she said, well, let's give the new dog like a Louisiana thing. And she's fascinated with Marie Laveau, the voodoo priestess, right? Like when we go down to New Orleans, when I take her down to New Orleans for the first time, the one thing she wants to do is see the tomb of Marie Laveau, which I've been to many times. So I said, Remy Laveau, like Remy LeBeau. Yeah, let's go for it. So anyway, we got told, Zoe, when we got the dog, that the dog is a boxer lab mix. And she looks like it. She looks like a boxer. So we thought, all right, boxer lab mix. She'll be a medium-sized dog. You know, she'll give us 28, 29, 30 pounds. That'll work.
I love when they say medium-sized dog because it never really turns out that way. I hope you're lucky.
Well, here's the thing. The dog basically quit growing, right? The dog quit growing. She's about 18 pounds now, like threatening 20 pounds. And I'm like, man, like I know she's young. She's only like 4 months old, but I was thinking she. So the lady friend decides, let's do a DNA test. Let's do a DNA test.
Wait, you can do DNA tests on dogs?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a genetics test, right?
Okay.
So you wipe the inside of the mouth and you get the dog spit and you mail it off and then they say, okay, this dog is X, whatever. It's incredible what scientists have figured out how to do with DNA. We can track dog breeds via DNA. So anyway, we did the DNA test and the DNA test comes back, Lonzo, that the dog is a terrier. A terrier mixed with an American pit bull, or sorry, not pit bull, American bulldog.
Yeah, because that's kind of a different thing there.
Pit bulls are great, by the way. Pit bulls have a bad rap. They're great dogs. But a terrier mixed with an American bulldog, which aren't big dogs anyway. So the dog is like maxed out at like 20 pounds. And we show up to the drive game yesterday after thinking we were going to have like a 30, 40-pound dog with our little 20-pound runt. And she's the runt on top of that, like a small breeder, and she's the runt of the litter. So we show up, and I'm sitting with this little dog in the mix of like Great Danes and 70-pound Goldens and these big, thick British bulldogs, right? English bulldogs. It was my little rat, who I love dearly, by the way. I'll fight any of you for. I love her. But I told the lady friend, I'm like, that dog right there. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Point of the story is.
So this appears to be a macho thing more than anything.
Oh, no, again.
Again,
I carry my little 20-pound dog around, and I dare you to say a cross word about my dog. I love my dog. My dog's great. She's amazing. But, Lonzo, if you're going to get a dog, you want a dog, right? Like, you want a big dog. Don't you want a big dog? You've got a decent-sized dog at the compound.
She's all right.
Yeah. I want a dog. Like,
she's a lot bigger than what they said she was going to get.
See, I got the opposite. I got a lot smaller than I was told. I want like an Irish wolfhound, right? Like an Irish wolfhound. If I had an Irish wolfhound, she could stand on the ground and her head would be over this desk. That's what I'm looking for. All right, an Irish wolfhound, and I got a American bulldog crossed with a terrier, right? Anyway, blah blah blah. Long story short, I got a message like 2 hours after the game from the owner of Barkley, Miss Vianne, and I promise if I'm saying your name wrong, I apologize. But Miss Vianne said,
"Yeah, don't take offense. He does it.
Yeah, I do it all the time. I mispronounce Alonzo's name sometimes." Anyway, she writes me a message and she goes, "My husband is a huge fan of the show. He listens every day. You're his favorite." And I'm like, "Why didn't you say that at the game, man? I was like literally talking to you guys."
Starstruck.
Yeah, that's it. You gotta have a star to be starstruck. Anyway, it was very nice to meet you guys. Enjoyed it greatly. Barkley's awesome. If you ever need a dog sitter, hit your boy up. Texter says, Rob, I bet you carry that dog around in your man purse, you 1%er. Okay. Texter says, Rob just did a DNA test. Turns out it's 100% a glitch.
Okay.
Bravo, Texter.
Okay, what band is this from? I'm guessing.
It's from Lizzo.
Okay.
And her song is, I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that B.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Switch
I get it now.
Glitch. Great
okay.
lady.
All right.
And Texter says, Rob, I'm not sure you understand the definition of long story short. Why do I keep the text line open? Why do I keep the text line open? I really shouldn't. 80% of them are just bagging me.
I looked up that
the other 20% are puns.
That kind of dog that you're talking about, and I mean it's cute and everything. But you're talking about manly dogs. That doesn't seem like the direction to go.
No, this dog was. This dog was.
If
dope.
you say so, I mean, get a Doberman or something.
No, this dog was white. He looked like a polar bear. This dog was super dope. Loved him. All right, 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFON, yeah, 844-326-3663. Preferred Home Services text line 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, so we can read it on the air. Scotty Scheffler is your 2022 Masters champion. Sunday morning looked like an absolute stud. He had about a 2-month stretch leading up to the Masters, working his way into the world #1 rankings. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. He ends up taking it home on Sunday. His grandest feat of all, led the entire weekend, strolling to a 171 with a 3-shot. How about Rory McIlroy, by the way? We're talking about Scotty, and we should. Guy's got the green jacket to take where he wants for a year. But Rory McIlroy, a guy that nobody gave a chance. And, by the way, from your third favorite nationally syndicated gambling host, I gave you guys 3 top 5 bets and 3 top 10 bets last week. And I told you, bet Rory McIlroy in the top 10. Second place. 3 off the lead. Scheffler had 1 fart noise on Sunday, and it was when it didn't matter.
All right, so I watched a couple hours, and when I saw the mullet was starting to go down, it's like, all right, I'm done. I had hopes.
Cam with the 10-point mullet.
I had hopes. He was right there for the entire time till the final round, and he just started hitting it into the crowd like every other shot. It seemed like it's like, okay, he's done. He's out. Scheffler's going to win this whole thing. And I saw that Rory was coming back, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way he comes back and wins. But apparently he came back and got second place.
Made a run. Gave you Rory as a top 10 bet. If you put some coin on that, you hit. Congratulations. You're welcome. I'll take my 10% as your agent. Anyway, he looked good. Only real collapse Scotty Scheffler had on Sunday when he was strong start to finish was on the 18th when the tournament was already decided at that point. There was no losing there. Took a 4-stroke lead onto the 18th green, missed like a 6-footer, and then just kind of laughed it off with the crowd before drilling the next one to take that 71 and a victory. He said, quote, if you're going to choose a golf tournament to win, this would be the tournament. You don't know how many chances you're going to get. And so having a chance, I had a 5-shot lead on Friday and then a 3-shot lead going into today. I don't know if you get better opportunities than that. You don't want to waste them, end quote. Said he felt at peace with himself on the golf course for the first time in a long time on Sunday, especially as he took that famous walk up the 18th green, 40 feet from the hole with a 5-shot lead in hand. He looked good. And the course looked good, man. It was the tournament that we wanted, yeah? Like, it was the tournament we wanted. The course played a little slow on Thursday. Remember, on Wednesday night, we had those torrential rain showers at Augusta that slowed the course down dramatically. And again, you got to give credit, I think, to Eldrick. Not for finishing where he finished, but for finishing end of sentence. Just for finishing. Lonzo pointed out on Saturday night that he had watched a little while. Man, Tiger's limp got progressively worse as this tournament went on. And of course it did, right? This course is hilly. There's a lot of walking up and down. I'll tell you right now, I played a round of golf about, 3-4 weeks ago at one of our local courses that's got some hills on it as well. And man, I did not get into a car accident that threatened my ability to walk 14 months ago, and I was hurting after it was over. I cannot imagine what Tiger the Bionic Man Woods felt like when he was coming down 18 yesterday just to finish the Masters. He just said, he said going into this, and remember we kind of made a thing last Friday, or what was it, last Wednesday? Tiger announced he was going to play. And a guy said, do you feel like you have what it takes to win? And I said, it's a fair question. And Lonzo said, it's a dumb question. Tiger got off 18 yesterday, does his post-round presser. And he said, without being prompted, I honestly did not know if I was going to be able to finish this tournament. So he didn't think he had enough in it to win. He says that because that's what athletes do. But he said, I didn't know if I was going to be able to finish the tournament, and I'm just happy I was able to. and entered the U.S. Open, by the way, which is great. Can't wait to see that. But Scotty Scheffler looked great. Tiger finished. And good on Rory McIlroy, man. Like the one, I'm seeing everybody talk about Tiger. I'm seeing everybody talk about Scotty Scheffler. And of course they deserve it. Tiger for finishing under the circumstances. Scotty for winning the whole thing. But Rory McIlroy is the guy that, in fact, not only did people not bank on him, but there were people betting against him to make the cut. There were people taking bet, and the guy's had a struggle of it ever since he's become a dad. And look, I'm not blaming it on that. There's, I'm sure, a ton of variables we don't even know about. But ever since becoming a dad, Rory McIlroy just hasn't been the guy. Just hasn't been the guy. Now he is. What a showing. I will tell you that the nerves get real on tour, man. You have 1-2 bad finishes. It gets into your confidence. Once your confidence goes away, man, golf hits different. I have had plenty of rounds myself as a crap golfer where I go out and grab, first 4, 3 pars and a birdie, feel real good. I hit one bad drive and my day's ruined because I can't get it out of my head. Rory has had 3 bad years. Shook it off. Runner up at the Masters. And if it wasn't for Scotty Scheffler having the tournament of his life, probably would have won. Any other year, Rory wins that thing. Phenomenal run. Course got more difficult as the weekend goes on. Exactly what you want. Guys got challenged more as the weekend went on. Exactly what you want. Once the wet dried out of Augusta, it became the Augusta National we wanted it to be on Sunday. Phenomenal golf tournament. All right, let's take a break. Got a few more things I want to get to in the next segment. Owen Watterson from right here at the Fan Upstate joins us in the final segment where we will break down Clemson's spring game. Gave you some thoughts on QB and offensive line earlier. We'll talk to Owen about what the defense looked like and more. That's coming up at about 11:40. Stick around, don't go anywhere. I'm Rob, he's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Where's my... All right, I'm seeing some questions about Morbius. I actually went to see it opening night, and I will say it was a good movie. Not a great movie, but a good movie. The effects were excellent. Matt Smith, like, he stole the show, but Matt Smith, one of my favorite Doctor Who, so I think he's pretty good in almost anything he does. There was a wonderful Lost Boys reference in the subway, which I enjoyed because Lost Boys is my favorite vampire movie of all time. So it's a thing. I didn't leave the theater going, man, I want my money back or anything like that. I left the theater going, yeah, it was pretty good. I also was not the biggest fan of Venom. I thought Venom was good, not great. Venom 2, a little bit lower than Venom 1. So I think it's on par with Venom. And I think you can tell the difference between a Sony Marvel movie and a Marvel movie. Sony Marvel, not nearly as good as Marvel. So, but if you want to go see a movie, you're a Marvel fan, you ain't got nothing to do, go watch the movie. You're not going to come out going, man, I'm going to go complain to management. It was good. Post-credit scenes were a little confusing. Seen a lot of things clarifying those that still didn't stop the confusion. Usually I can figure those out. A lot of questions, but maybe that's what you want from post-credit scene. Really trying to decide if I want to go ahead and buy tickets for Doctor Strange 2 since they're on sale. And then the movie comes out next week. I believe it's next week.
Funny enough, Courtney told me she's in for Doctor Strange 2. She's like, I've seen a bunch of the promos and they made it interesting. I was like, well, you got to watch WandaVision first.
Yeah, it's necessary
That's an excuse to watch WandaVision again.
Trying to see, when's that come out? I think the new Nick Cage movie comes out next week. Comes out on the 22nd. So it's not next week, it's the week after. Okay. So when Cameron and I go to see the Nick Cage movie, I'll make sure I'll send you an invite your way in case you are free to go see it.
100%.
Owen calling us?
Yeah. Owen Watterson, our own from right here at the Fan Upstate, is going to join us coming up in the next segment as we break down the Clemson spring game. We told you a little bit about the quarterbacks and offensive line. We'll talk to him because there were a couple of other guys that stood out to me that I want to ask Owen about. He had eyeballs on. He was there in Clemson on Saturday. He'll break that game down for us when he comes back. Wanted to bring this story up real quick, mainly because I have no idea where this is going to go. And it's a big story. A former Oregon offensive lineman, Doug Brenner, is suing the NCAA for $100 million in punitive damages in a trial that begins tomorrow in Eugene. It also names the University of Oregon and former head football coach Willie Taggart as defendants. Brenner alleges in the lawsuit he sustained lifelong injuries during a series of controversial workouts back in 2017. The law firm of Caffery and McDougal filed a suit on behalf of Brenner back in January 2019 in circuit court in the state of Oregon, initially sought $11.5 million from the NCAA. According to documents obtained by ESPN, Brenner increased the claim for pain and suffering from $6 to $20 million and has added the claim against the NCAA for punitive damages. The firm filed the amended complaint back on March 24th following discovery, which included depositions from NCAA President Mark Emmert, Chief Medical Officer Brian Hainline. Brenner also names Oregon strength and conditioning coach Iriel Odorundi as a defendant. Taggart was, of course, at Oregon. He was hired back in December of 2016. He, as well as Odorundi, is expected to attend the trial in person. Taggart left Oregon after one season to move to Florida State, fired in the midst of his second season, now the head coach at FAU. The lawsuit alleges negligence against all defendants, accusing Taggart and Odorundi of imposing physical punishment on the players, failing to prohibit it, and failing to ensure that Odorundi had adequate training to do his job. In the lawsuit, it is claimed that Odorundi did not carry industry-required certification to be a strength and conditioning coach at Oregon. Willie Taggart has responded, said, quote, "I care about every one of the players I've coached like they are my own sons, and I want each of them to be successful on and off the field. I would never want any of them to suffer any injury. I disagree with the things Doug Brenner has said in his complaint, and I'm sorry we're involved in this lawsuit, but I still wish him the best," end quote. Oregon released a statement to ESPN that said, quote, "The health and safety of our students is our highest priority. There was a quick response to Doug Brenner's injury, and he was provided the best care possible. We are grateful that he made a full recovery and was able to play during the 2017 season and also graduate from the University of Oregon. We disagree with the claims made by Mr. Brenner's attorneys in their lawsuit and will address those in court," end quote. So Brenner is saying that the strength and conditioning coach at Oregon did not have the qualifications and credentials that he should have in order to be a strength and conditioning coach at a college football program. And because of that fact and the claim that Taggart and Odorundi were punishing players by making them go through activities that caused these injuries, that he suffered injuries that have followed him into his post-football career since then. According to the document, the injury that was created came after Odorundi told the team that he was going to, quote, "find the snakes in the grass and cut their heads off," end quote, referring to players that were not putting 100% into their workouts and into their strength training. According to the document, the injury that was sustained to Brennan was during a workout that lasted for, quote, 60 to 90 minutes, and in which the staff, quote, "did not make water available in the workout room for at least the first day of the workouts," end quote. The lawsuit also states that about 40 players in each group had to do 10 perfect push-ups in unison, and if one of the athletes was out of sync with the rest or failed to use perfect technique, all of the players had to do up-downs and start the drill over. The lawsuit contends that over several days, quote, "student athletes vomited, passed out, or collapsed during the workouts," end quote. It says Oregon's medical staff, quote, "acknowledged that the workout went beyond the student athletes' natural limits after the first day, but rather than stop the workouts, university staff brought in oxygen tanks for the second day," end quote. This is interesting because the situation, which is laid out by Doug Brenner and his attorneys, basically sounds like all of the workout horror stories that you get from people talking about the golden days of football, right? We have seen movies like The Junction Boys that glorify the days that Bear Bryant had his football players doing two-a-days in 110-degree temperatures, and water was considered weakness, right? Needing water was a weakness. And obviously, we're well past those days. We're past that. We now know that it is, required for living. It's kind of one of the things.
Yeah, I lived through that time of if you complained about water, you were considered a sissy and had to do extra to have to earn the water. So I definitely know what that's like.
Sure. And my question would be for you then, Lonzo, acknowledging that, I guess. You're not admitting it, you're acknowledging it, would be your son did wrestling. If you found out your son was going through the same type of those old school workouts that you did, no water allowed because that's for sissies, you good with that?
Wrestling's a little bit different, but I don't know. He didn't, so I didn't have to get into that. He did play football also, but with the knowledge of how important hydration is now, it's just hard to believe that anyone would still be using those practices. So maybe I would be shocked, for sure.
Sure. And that is what Doug Brennan is saying here, right? Like, we know that kind of stuff is bad. And if the workouts that he's describing in this lawsuit were accurate, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for Oregon. It's going to be a problem for Willie Taggart. Now, I will also tell you, Willie Taggart coached at Oregon, moved on to Florida State, now at FAU. I have not heard any other Willie Taggart players have a complaint like this. I didn't hear him complaining about it in Tallahassee. I haven't heard him complaining about it at FAU. And I had, when Willie Taggart got fired from Florida State, when I was broadcasting, a handful of miles down the road from Tallahassee, I had guys that played for Willie Taggart come on the show and talk about it. And the majority of them loved Willie Taggart. They really liked Taggart, right? Now, granted, they liked Willie Taggart because, and I'm saying this with all due respect, Willie Taggart was kind of a pushover of it was more important to Willie Taggart to be a player's coach than it was to be a successful coach. Willie Taggart brought guys in and he let the players dictate a lot of the program because he wanted to be the guy that was viewed as a player's coach. The guys, look, to every prospective coach out there, right? To every one of you guys that's playing high school ball or you're in college and you're thinking about jumping into coaching, being a player's coach is a thing that is natural. You just do it or you don't, right? You either have the charisma and the personality players like it or you don't. It's not like it's a choice. You either have it or you don't. I've never heard anybody else complain about Willie Taggart workouts like what is accused in this lawsuit. It'll be interesting to see if Doug Brenner has proof. If he does, I think there's a lot of coaches that have this old school mentality that the NCAA will go, you're on lockdown now, right? This kind of stuff will not happen anymore. Because, much like we talked about with Dan Snyder last week, at the end of the day, you know what the one way to affect change in a major organization like the NFL or the NCAA is? Pocketbook. Hit them right where it hurts the most, in the wallet. And if Doug Brenner's lawsuit results in 10 or 20 or 50 or $100 million coming out of the NCAA reserves to go to him because this is genuinely what caused his, quote, lifelong injuries, end quote, this kind of stuff ain't going to be allowed anymore because the precedent has been set and the money's out of pocket. And they're not going to let that happen. So I'm interested. I'll follow this lawsuit. I'm very curious where it goes. Let's take a break. When we come back, Owen Watterson will join us on the show. Owen was at Clemson spring practice this past Saturday. We'll get his thoughts and break that game down next on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Hey, man, I told you not to call me here anymore. I just wanted to make Rob laugh, which I did, so it was worth it. It was well worth it. Hey, thanks again for coming in Saturday night. I'm glad that. Yeah, I wasn't sure any of that was going to work, and it actually did, so that was pretty cool. All right, we just now went. Go ahead. What? Yeah. So, Let me put you on break. I got something I have to edit. Put you on hold. I got something I got to edit. So, but it's going to be a couple minutes. So, hang on.
Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate. Now listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders, and that's your sports flash on the Fan Upstate. From the Ingles Lucky Stadium. 97.7 FM Greenville.
97.1 FM Spartanburg.
And on the Odyssey app. Another prescription, another surgery. Here we go again. But the joint pain is still here.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. Try something new that can lead you to a better life.
Football champion Emmett Smith's talking about QC Kinetics, all natural, non-invasive alternatives to surgery and harmful pain medications.
So I try to avoid as many of those things as possible because I did not want to get hooked on pain meds. I didn't want those things to hamper my life.
Patients across the country are saying no to pain meds and discovering QC Kinetics, all natural, biologic, long-lasting solutions to pain relief. Regenerative treatments that help your body restore damaged tissue and get rid of the pain.
The natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
End the cycle of pain meds and avoid surgery.
Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, use my card. And most of us just accept the
After all that stuff I said about Morbius, it broke a box office record as the biggest drop in sales from one week to the next for a superhero related movie.
I give you credit for that. The Upstate Pulse has a lot of sway.
The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. With Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 5.72% APR with auto pay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money at a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval, rates range from 5.73% APR to 19.99% APR, includes 0.5% MLP discount. Latest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/read for more information. At Ingles, we know your closest companions.
2 days of Comic-Con wore me out, man.
Believe it.
You don't realize how many hours that you're actually just walking through that thing.
This week at Ingles, select sizes and varieties, Game liquid laundry detergent or flings, $10.98 each. Select sizes and varieties, Starbucks coffee, $7.98 each. And select 68-ounce Laura Lane bar with shredded cheese, $1.68 each.
All right, we are unmuted. Someday, when things are back to full capacity downstairs, you can do what a host should do and just walk in and sit down. And, you know.
I've never gotten to do that. Must be nice.
Done it a couple times. But usually it's more of the situation that it was Saturday night. Which used to tick me off a little bit, but now I don't care as much. Because I want to make sure I remember how to do everything. And now they know they can have multiple screens
Yeah.
doing StreamYard on location. Yay, test marketing.
ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Coming back.
Owen's plugged up. All right, let's rock and roll. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate, Rob Alonzo. And now joining us on the air, the young man they call Owen Watterson. Owen head over to Clemson for the spring game this past Saturday. Checked into Death Valley to watch DJ Uiagalelei and Cade Klubnik have their first on-field battle. Owen now joining us here on the show. What's up, big fella?
Well, after watching a quarterback duel on Saturday, I'm still no more certain about who's going to be the starter. But other than that, it's been a pretty good Monday.
So I want to get to that first, right? Like, that's obviously the big question that a lot of Clemson folks went into that game with, and I think held on to coming out of that game. But how much of an impact did it have, Owen, that both of these guys were playing behind hodgepodge offensive lines, right? Clemson went in missing both of their starting tackles, and then the offensive line was obviously divided up between the orange and the white team. The fact that these two teams were playing effectively, not just hodgepodge offensive lines, but offensive lines that had walk-ons playing starter in front of the quarterbacks. How much of the struggles of Klubnik and DJ would you chalk up to the fact that the offensive line was not anywhere close to what it's going to look like for week one?
Well, for Cade specifically, I think being able to see the talent he went up against on defense, I mean, the orange team's defensive line had Xavier Thomas and Miles Murphy coming off the edge after the freshman, which I think Dabo did that on purpose to see, their two best defensive ends most likely, even though that room's probably going to end up being 5 or 6 deep. We're coming after the freshmen, and we got to see some elusiveness out of the pocket because of it, made a couple of outstanding throws on the run. So I don't think it affected Cade as much. He definitely was left not being able to finish all the way through his reads multiple times because the pocket collapsed so quickly. So there is that. Maybe we didn't get to see him stand in the pocket and really go through all of his progressions and find the right read as often as I really would have liked. But DJ, I don't think it affected him nearly as much. It didn't seem like he had as much pressure consistently coming against him. He had a lot of throwaways. I don't think the offensive line affected them as much as I think it's being made out to be. Quite honestly, I think the receivers and the lack of elite receiver depth right now hurt both of them more than the offensive line did. Cade had the advantage of having Brendan Spector, who is finally back. Clemson did not have a true slot receiver last year, and I think he's going to fill that role for them flawlessly this year. Now, other than Brendan Spector, Cade didn't have much to work with. He had tight end Jake Brennan-Stool, who made a couple of big plays. He's just a sophomore, and the coaching staff is super high on him. But DJ virtually only had Joseph Ngata. Through the entire first half, I believe it was, DJ only hit one other receiver that was not named Joseph Ngata, hit 2 tight ends, and Phil Maffa out of the backfield. But other than that, Joseph Ngata was his go-to. He threw him out threw him multiple times. Hit him on a couple of nice passes. I think the touchdown was to Ngata as well. So I think the receivers are much more of a problem right now than the offensive line, because once that group comes together as a whole, I think it's going to be much better than it was last year in the trenches for Clemson.
I was kind of curious, obviously, as we kept an eye on this to see if I thought it was going to take a lot for Cade to show up in the spring game and sway the momentum in his favor to potentially earn the starting spot. I didn't think it was going to happen this weekend, but I wondered if he would sow enough doubt into Clemson fans, maybe even into the coaching staff, that when we get into fall camp early, maybe there's a little more pressure on DJ. I wondered if DJ last year, the pressure I thought Owen on him was he felt like he needed to be Trevor Lawrence Part 2. He needed to be Kelly Bryant. He needed to be Deshaun Watson. And he just never really was DJ Uiagalelei. Now he's got Cade Klubnik coming down and breathing down his neck to take that position away from him. Were the miscues from DJ holdovers from last season? Were they maybe the results of knowing that Cade Klubnik is on the same field trying to take his job? Or have we just found out this is just who DJ Uiagalelei is? I thought there were some spots he looked better, but I thought some of the problems he had last year, not having the right finesse on the ball where he needed it. I thought he was better at decision-making, seemed a little more confident, but was just missing some guys that didn't require arm strength to complete the passes. That a holdover? Is that a result of pressure? What do you think after seeing it in person?
Quite honestly, and I hate to say this because I've been a big, big supporter of DJ Uiagalelei and his chances to really rebound this season, but after Saturday, I'm not so sure that we're going to see much more from DJ, and I don't want to be the guy that takes away all these hot takes from the Spree game because I do want to add post-game. Dabo was very adamant that DJ is their starting quarterback. You know, he's like, I feel confident we have two guys that can win at a high level now, which he said that before with Trevor Lawrence and Kelly Bryant. So we saw how that worked out. I'm trying not to compare it too much to that situation. But like you said, Rob, there were some throws that did not require, elite arm strength that DJ was just not making on Saturday. A couple of simple out routes, but he did have some flashes. He had a nice fade pass down the sideline to Joseph Ngata in the first half. There was a call that got called back by Dabo, a touchdown that DJ threw because Dabo said he got sacked, but it was probably DJ's best throw of the day, again, to Joseph Ngata in the back corner, right side of the end zone, I believe. Beautiful. But when you follow that up with multiple incomplete passes simply because you missed the throws, I mean, that by itself is the definition of inconsistency, right? And my biggest thing for DJ on Saturday, I know a lot of people lost the game on ACC Network after UNC came on, so maybe you did not see this. When DJ threw an interception late in the third quarter to freshman Sherrod Koval, who, by the way, looks elite, and I don't think the Tigers are going to have too much issues replacing Nolan Turner on the back end of safety. Regardless, Sherrod Koval picks off DJ Uiagalelei, returns it to the white 10-yard line, or to the orange 10-yard line. Cade punches it in 2 plays later with a 7-yard touchdown, and then DJ gets his chance to respond. To keep the orange team in it, he gets a chance to respond, and what does he do, Rob? He goes 3 and out with 3 incomplete passes, or 2 very short completions and an incomplete on 3rd and down, and the orange team punts and loses. That's a situation where he's like, he should be in his mind, okay, this freshman just came and scored on me because I made a mistake. Now it's time to take this team downfield and respond. And he just did not do that. And I feel like because of simple things like that, we're going to see more of the same this year from DJ.
Owen Watterson joining us here on the Rob Brown Show. Owen went and covered the Clemson Spring game for us last Saturday. A couple of other spots that I wanted to talk about, and, we've got the quarterback spot, but how about Phil Maffa, right? We were concerned about the running game this year, but he has taken all the first-team reps in this spring. There was not a ton of run to room because of what we talked about earlier, a makeshift offensive line up against one of the better defensive lines in the country, but Phil looked decent running the football. He also had 4 catches as well, and looked really good in pass pro, like significantly improved in pass pro. Is Phil Maffa going to be the guy that can fill the role that Clemson really looked for at the running back spot after they lost Travis Etienne to Jacksonville?
I think Will Shipley, once he finally comes back healthy, probably has the better chance to do so, to be quite honest with you. But Phil Maffa, I mean, we were talking about it last year, how similar Will Shipley and Phil Maffa is, 2 guys that came in the same class. If I'm not mistaken, they were both early enrollees. I told Mark Ryan this a couple weeks ago that they really, really reminded me of what C.J. Spiller and James Davis had going on in Clemson in the late 2000s, the thunder and lightning situation they had going on. When one of those guys is out, I truly believe the other is going to be able to pick up the slack, not just a little bit, but in its totality, and really not be able to see too much of a drop-off. From the running back position, here's a cool story for you, Rob, if you didn't get the chance to tune into it. Dominique Thomas, I believe was his name, a walk-on running back for Dabo Swinney, who transferred from, I can't remember where off the top of my head, but told Dabo, I believe I can play at this level. I want to walk on. What can I do to be a part of this team? And he did, and he was the starting running back for the white team this past Saturday. So I think Will Shipley being out is really allowed for not just Phil Maffa, but other guys in that running back room to really get involved. I hated that we couldn't see Kobe Pace because I feel like he's just as talented as a guy like Maffa. So this running back room, I really think they're going to be okay this year. It was always going to take at least a year, if not two, to replace the elite level production that you were consistently getting from Travis Etienne.
Real quick, Owen, we got about a minute left. Joseph Gata, I mean, we're going to talk about defense later on in the week, but I think we know the defense was just overmatching the offense here. And the big concern for Clemson is on the offense. Can the offense match what the defense was trying to do last year? Justin Gata did have one easy dropped, but outside of that, looked like he's setting up to have a breakout season, yes or no?
Yes, he's the best receiver on this team, and I really don't even think it's close. I think he might be the only one in that depth chart right now at receiver that can make the NFL, too. We still don't know who the second receiver is going to be. Spector probably fill in there in the slot. Joseph would be probably the X receiver, but we have no idea who's going to be across from Joseph and Gata on the other side right now. Could be a plethora of guys, but he's the best receiver in this room, and it's not close.
Owen Watterson covered the spring game for us over in Death Valley this past weekend, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Up. Say, Owen, I'm going to get you back on later this week to get more in-depth. Buddy, appreciate the time, pal.
No problem. I'll talk to you later, Rob.
Looking forward to it. That is our own Owen Watterson. Again, covered the Clemson spring game for us right here on the Fan Upstate. That's going to do it for us today on the show. We got a bunch of stuff coming up for you tomorrow as we continue to break down Clemson spring game. Also, NBA play-in tournament starts tomorrow. We got 2 games tomorrow night. The losers one step closer to going home. The winners on to the NBA playoffs. So we're going to break that down. We'll take a check-in on Major League Baseball as well. We are, closing in on a week into the season already. As we get started last Thursday, Braves dropped the opening series against the Reds. Should I be looking for the panic button? No. But I'll tell you why or why not coming up on tomorrow's show. You have a great rest of your day. Don't work too hard. Bring it tomorrow. It's going to get loud right here on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Dream, appreciate you guys as always. We'll see y'all tomorrow on the